Currently sitting at a record of 6-3. The Broncos have been able to win most of their games this year, but it feels like this team lacks identity and direction. And I think our Week 10 bye week comes at a very good time for us as we look to regroup, coming off a bad loss last week at Ford Field against the Detroit Lions. We're currently the number 6 seed in a very competitive AFC, half a game behind the Las Vegas Raiders for first place in the division. Last episode, of course, was the trade deadline. We made a couple of moves, added a couple of Buckeyes with TreVeyon Henderson, who's going to give us some more explosiveness in the backfield, and then Jack Sawyer adding depth on the defensive line. There were a handful of other notable moves across the NFL. Ladd McConkey to the Bills, Cooper DeJean to the Raiders, Enix Rakestraw to the Ravens, Jack Campbell to the Bengals, and Jonathan Brooks to the Saints. All of those guys, except for Rakestraw, got new contract extensions with their new teams. So it seems like those guys are all going to be long-term pieces of their new homes. We're coming off a 41-30 loss against Detroit, and one of the talking points I mentioned during that episode is, as we know, we have a pretty good defense, and our defense seems to have like 13 good games a year and then 4 pretty bad ones. But the 4 games that they play bad, they play horribly. Amon-Ra St. Brown had 240 yards. He completely abused Patrick Surtain. Goff had 4 touchdowns, and Bo Nix couldn't do enough. He was pretty underwhelming for his higher standard than was held previously. Our defense needs to get it together, and it is not going to be easy. We have a brutal second half schedule. Our next 3 games are against the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chiefs. Not ideal. It lightens up a little bit after that, but we still have Baltimore and Kansas City in the final 5 weeks of the year. So we are in for a gauntlet, and if we do end up making the playoffs, damn it, we're going to earn that spot against some of the league's best. How do we feel about our defensive line after the deadline? Well, I did promise I would get an impact starter, and I didn't. I mean, Jack Sawyer is a fine get, but he is a rotation player. And unfortunately, our defensive morale goes down as a result. We're doing some self-scouting during the bye week. Thank God. We need to do some self-scouting. This team has to look into the mirror and figure out how we're going to go about this gauntlet of a second half schedule with MVP candidates left and right. Where do we need to get better at? We've got a great receiving back who needs to get the ball more. Get Ashton Jeanty the ball out of the backfield for the rest of the season. It says he only averages 2 catches per game. That feels like a very ungenerous rounding because it's 23 catches in 8 games. That's pretty much 3 receptions per game. They are being very ungenerous with their rounding. I think with TreVeyon Henderson here, obviously we're expecting him to catch the ball more, and of course Harrison Whaley's a good pass catcher as well. I think 3 catches per game for Jeanty is pretty reasonable, but still, we have other guys who can catch the ball. We're going to sign Andrew Mukuba to our practice squad. We lost running back Gavin Sawchuk, the former 7th rounder, who signed with the Panthers, I guess to replace Jonathan Brooks' roster spot. Mukuba, a former day 2 pick by the Bucs, hasn't really worked out there, but he's got some upside, and I'm intrigued by his talent. Our team is super healthy going into the bye week. Quinn Miners is the only guy on the injury report, and that includes Marvin Mims, who's finally healthy, and we will have him available unless he gets another rogue injury for the first time since week 2. He was supposed to come back 2 weeks ago against the Chargers, but I guess he suffered an injury in practice. I thought he was going to be back against Detroit. That didn't end up happening, but it seems like now, finally, once and for all, Marvin Mims returns. He's missed a handful of games over the last couple of years. I've seen the comments saying that he's not an alpha, and I mean, he needs to be on the field more, but when he plays, he's really darn good. The problem is, he's not on the field enough. I think with him healthy, though, that's going to help the other receivers because they will all be able to be used as complementary options. None of those other guys are alphas, or at least not yet, in terms of Ryan Williams. As we take a look at some scores across the rest of the NFL, the Chiefs beat the Ravens. Good news that Baltimore lost, but bad that the Chiefs did. The Lions lost to Cleveland. The winless Browns. I guess our Lions loss has not aged overly well. Raiders with a high-scoring win over the Titans. Jalen Daniels has been on fire. Caleb Williams, C.J. Stroud, Smael Mondon Jr., and Cam Taylor-Britt win the Players of the Week for Week 10. And now, off of the bye week, we've clearly got some work to do. Even though we're 6-3, we're not happy with where we are. And we've got the Bengals, the Raiders, and the Chiefs in the next 3 weeks. All current playoff teams, all with MVP caliber quarterbacks. The Bengals have a very clear strength, the number 2 scoring offense, and a very clear weakness, the number 27 scoring defense. So we could be looking at another high-scoring matchup. Basically, the Bengals of real life. Now, I will say the defense has played better over the last couple of weeks, only 33 points combined over their last 2. Before that, in their first 8 games, they had scored and allowed at least 20 points each. Obviously, everything starts and ends with the quarterback and wide receiver duo. Joe Burrow is having an out-of-this-world season after a ridiculous year last year with 50 touchdowns. This year, he has nearly 3,000 yards, 31 scores, only 4 interceptions, and he is currently in first place for the MVP, with Bo Nix moving down to 3rd after the bye week. Shout out Jalen Daniels, who has climbed into 2nd. I'm still not sure if I should be proud, because on one hand, that's my quarterback, but on the other hand, that's a division rival as well. So, continues to be an odd relationship with him and Devin Neal. Anyway, back to the Bengals. Rocket Sanders and Dylan Sampson lead the backfield. Obviously, Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, very talented receiving core. Jermaine Burton here as well, along with the tight end Oscar Delp, who's already an 89. These guys have talent on the line of scrimmage. That's been their big issue over the years. Chris Jenkins has developed into an awesome player, as has former first-round tackle Holland Pierce. And the addition of Jack Campbell in the middle of the defense certainly does not hurt either. Not to mention some talented rookies, including Jason Moore, the projected top 10 pick at defensive tackle, who slipped all the way into the 2nd round, as did Oscar Delp last year. Both of those guys were supposed to be early first-rounders. They both fell, and the Bengals look really smart for landing each of them. No new injuries this week. Marvin Mims is off the injury report. He's going to play. We are going to make one change on the depth chart, though. Chris Abrams-Drain is not having a good season in the slot. And whenever Benjamin Morrison has played actual defensive snaps, he's been really good. He's been primarily a special teamer for us, but when we've needed him out there defensively due to injuries, he's played well. And I want to give him an opportunity in the slot, especially with how poorly Chris Abrams-Drain is playing. Morrison will mostly be matched up with Jermaine Burton, while Surtain and Colin Wright are going to battle it out with Chase and Higgins. Seeing what Amon-Ra St. Brown did last week has me scared of what Jamar Chase could do this week. So here is the Denver offense. Bo Nix coming off an underwhelming game against Detroit, but obviously he has played very well through the first 9 games of the year. He has taken a leap, and he has entered himself into the MVP conversation. 3rd down and 2, play action for Genty. Nix on the run. He will go short, and Harold Fannin does not get it. Jack Campbell brings him down, acquired from the Lions at the trade deadline. We got to see Campbell's previous team, of course, last week. As we look at the Bengals offense, Joe Burrow, one of the best in the business, 31 touchdowns through 10 games to just 4 interceptions. He has been absolutely fantastic. As the Bengals start with a 1st and 10 at the 21-yard line. Burrow and empty has Jamar Chase wide open on the first play of the game. Colin Wright gets burnt, and he's tracked down at the 11, but not before gaining 69 yards as he's wrapped up by J.L. Skinner. There was a lot of that 2 weeks ago against Detroit. Not a great sign to see the Bengals airing it out quickly. Following play, Burrow lobs it for the end zone. It's T. Higgins in for a score, and for a coverage unit who was pretty abysmal against the Lions, this is not exactly a ringing endorsement. A 2-play touchdown drive for the Bengals. Here is Nix, fires into the bucket. A really nice throw for Tez Johnson, threading the needle with great coverage by Dax Hill. From the 38, Nix on the run, floats it up, and it's caught. Harold Fannin to the 19. Bo Nix has been ultra efficient so far. 5 of 5, 50 yards. Fannin's been busy early, his 3rd catch of the game, and Denver has it in the red zone. 3rd and 7. Here is Nix up the middle. It is caught. Tez Johnson nearly gets the 1st, as it's a gain of 6. He's wrapped up by Logan Wilson. 4th and 1, when you're this close, punch that sucker in. You already know what we're going to do. Denver will go for it. Genty breaks a tackle and does not get it. I've seen some of the comments that have said we should get a fullback because it's never something we've invested in. And I'll be honest, on that play, we really could have used a fullback. That's Chris Brazzell going to the locker room. We may never have a full game with an entirely healthy receiving core ever again. 2nd and 6, short throw is caught. That's Mike Gesicki. Even though Oscar Delp has become the #1 tight end, Gesicki still with a nice role in this Cincinnati offense. Final minute of the first quarter, 3rd and 5. Joe Burrow looks to throw it. Under pressure, that one is caught. Big hit by Sanders, but still a first down from Oscar Delp. Now on to the final play of the first quarter is a 2nd and 7 for Cincinnati. With the tight end in motion, that's Oscar Delp. Burrow under pressure, runs into the defensive lineman, Aleem the Dream McNeil with the sack, and that could knock the Bengals out of field goal range. Finally, a positive play in what was otherwise not a good first quarter for Denver. The defense has not looked better than they did against Detroit. The offense moved down the field on the previous drive, but a 4th down stoppage in the red zone prevented us from scoring. We're usually a good red zone team, but obviously couldn't execute there. Big play to start the second, 3rd and 13. Burrow misses for Sampson, who slipped. You're going to see some of that today with the rain. Burrow's first incompletion. He was 5 of 5 before that. Bo Nix, meanwhile, 7 of 9. That'll bring out the field goal team. It is a 55-yard try for the veteran Evan McPherson. His kick is no good. It had the distance, but it goes wide to the left, and it remains 7-0. So it's still a one-score game. It's a great opportunity for the offense to look to capitalize with very good starting field position at the 45-yard line. 2nd and 10. Nix drops back to throw it under pressure on the run. He's got Marvin Mims. Welcome back as he jukes right into the linebacker. He thought he was going to be able to slice and dice himself out of the way, but he throws himself into the arms of Logan Wilson. Following play, here's Jency with it to the outside. What a block by Mims. No block, no rock. It's a gain of 20. Quick start for Jency. He's played well early in this one. 4 carries, 29 yards. Obviously, the block by Mims was very impressive in the second level, but how did Jency get to the second level? It was because we used a fullback, Rivaldo Fairweather. Play action for Jency. Nix lobs it for the end zone. It's caught! What a throw! Perfectly placed into the hands of Harold Fannin Jr. The Broncos tie it at 7. What a play by Bo Nix. We've seen more of that this year, which has silenced the critics. An absolute dime by Nix. Great piece of footwork by Harold Fannin, continuing his impressive season. He leads the Broncos in receiving right now. We will not tie the game, though. Will Lutz misses the extra point. He's been a little inconsistent over the last couple of weeks. I think the weather, certainly part of the reason why. He missed a PAT against the Raiders earlier this year that came back to bite us. There's Mykel Williams with the sack. That was on 3rd down as well. The defense starting to come alive a little bit. That first drive was ugly, but we've looked better since then. Denver back with it from the 50. Here is Jency with it to the outside. Another big run. Juke move still up as he gets 14 yards. What a run by Ashton Jency. The offensive line's doing a great job for him, and he's making plays as we go with another set with Fairweather at fullback. Jency gets a nice block from Fairweather. Flag on the play. Another big run for Jency as he gets it to the 20. This one's going to be coming back, though, a holding call against Harold Fannin. That's not why I wanted to show that play, though. At the end, as Jency went down, he got injured. Not good news. I think the weather and the rain, the slippery surface, might have had something to do with that. There's a good throw. Bo Nix gets Ryan Williams for a first down. As for Jency, though, dislocated ankle. Obviously, his game is over, and that's probably a multi-week thing. So we lose our RB1, possibly for a large chunk of the remainder of the season. It's a good thing we acquired Trevion Henderson. He will now be thrusted into the RB1 role as he gets around 4 on the catch, wrapped up by Cam Taylor-Britt. We told our team Jency was going to average at least 3 catches per game the rest of the way. Well, I don't know if there will be a rest of the way for him as Will Lutz sinks the field goal. That'll make it 9-7. Bengals get it back. 4 minutes to go in the first half. A 2nd and 5 for Burrow and company. He's joined by Rocket Sanders in the backfield as that one's caught by T. Higgins for a first down to the 42. I've noticed the coverage has looked a lot better. since the first drive, which is encouraging, and it's helped the pass rush get home with sacks by McNeil and Williams. 3rd and 5, screen, thrust it into the ground. Aleem McNeil with the pressure, continuing his impressive game and his impressive season overall. He has been well worth the $99 million we paid him. Good punt, though, by the Bengals. That'll set us down at the 5. Here's Henderson to the outside. Breaks the tackle, gets around 14 yards. As much as it sucks losing Genty, I am confident in Travion Henderson's ability to be our lead runner. I'm confident with Harrison Whaley getting more touches again. Zamir White I feel good with. As Marvin Mims gets the first down to the 36-yard line, that'll bring us to the 2-minute warning. 2-point lead for Denver, looking to add to it as we get closer to the break. 3rd down and 6 at the 47. We're going to run it with Henderson, and the Bengals did not expect it. To the outside, big play to the 30 for Travion Henderson as he gets 17 yards. Since he fully played for the pass there, and it backfires. 2nd and 6, look at that clock. Under 20 seconds to go now as Nix gets it. It's caught by Horn at the 12. We ran the out route there so he could get out of bounds, but unfortunately he was tackled too quickly. So now we're out of timeouts. It's got to be for the sidelines or the end zone. That's what Nix does. It's caught by Williams, but he was tackled in bounds. We've got to clock it, and we don't have enough time to do so. We tried to get Ryan Williams out, but a great tackle kept him in bounds and will prevent the Broncos from scoring going into the break. Denver leads at 9-7, but that's 2 trips in the red zone, 0 points. That is really bad. As we take a look at our halftime report across the rest of the NFL, we will start things off in Kansas City. The Lions facing off against our rivals, the Chiefs, and what ended up being a really high-scoring game. 5 touchdowns for Mahomes. This was his first. A 61-yard beauty into the hands of Marquise Brown, who had the entire defense trailing behind him. 38-35, the Chiefs end up winning it. The Lions playing a lot like they did against us a few weeks ago. Jared Goff with 3 touchdowns, but they could not stop Patrick Mahomes. The Chiefs go up to 7-3. That'll bring us to the Packers and Cardinals. This is a little bit awkward. My clip for this game did not save, and I'm hurrying to get some extra videos up for the weekend, so I did not have time to redo it. But the Packers lead Arizona 24-10. Anytime we don't have to show the Packers doing well, I guess is a good thing. As for Baltimore and the Raiders, another very exciting game between 2 phenomenal quarterbacks. It was Lamar Jackson and Zay Flowers who outduel Jalen Daniels. JD still ended up with more touchdowns than incompletions. 26 of 29, 265, and 2 scores. It was not enough. The Ravens get the win. They are 8-3. The Raiders fall to 7-3. So that means if we win this game here against the Bengals, it'll be a 3-way tie for first in the West with the Raiders and the Chiefs. Obviously, the defense started off rough with that first play by Jamar Chase, followed by the touchdown from T. Higgins. But since then, the defense is playing really well. Patrick Surtain has been great. He has allowed 0 catches today and has had Jamar Chase in hell. Colin Wright is playing a lot better. The offense has played better than the score suggests. We've been able to churn out some good drives. We've ran the ball really well. 5 carries, 43 yards for Genty prior to the injury. 4 carries, 39 yards for Henderson. He's looked good in his plays. Bo Nix, meanwhile, has been busy. 21 of 29, 185 yards. Burrow's been good himself. 13 of 16, 145 and a score. But the Bengals have not been able to consistently move down the field, at least not in the second quarter. Here is Sampson on first down, losing yardage. Unlike Denver, the Bengals could not run the ball consistently in the first half. Jeffrey Bossa leads the way to bring him down, and he is now in the zone. 2nd and 13, Benito jumped. Free play. Burrow has Dylan Sampson, who will be wrapped up past the 50 by Grant. Drew Sanders slow to react there with the speedy Sampson. Not a good play all around. Bad coverage rep, bad penalty, which will obviously be declined. So the Bengals get the first down. They now have it past midfield from the 48. Here is Sampson again. Fumble! It's on the ground! And it's scooped up by Marvin Grant! A turnover forced by the defense. And the woes for Cincinnati's offense continue. A few guys were there in the cluster leading the ball out. Drew Sanders was there. I think Baron Browning probably will get credited for the fumble force if he was down. because I kind of think he was down. I think they're going to certainly take a look at this and probably reverse it, unfortunately. Let's get another closer look here with an official booth review. And yeah, that left elbow is down, and he clearly still has possession of the ball. So this play will be reversed. A massive break for Cincinnati as the Bengals dodge a bullet. First down from the 37 here for the Bengals. Burton in motion. Burrow will snap it. Goes short for Burton. Throws it back, and it's incomplete off of Benito's helmet. What in the Ben Johnson was that? Burton's pass, I thought, went behind. Is that not a fumble? I guess not. Maybe he threw it forwards. 3rd and 10. Burrow looking deep. It is broken up. Patrick Surtain got a hand on it. He was looking for T. Higgins. And Denver's defense gets a stop again. Another long field goal. McPherson missed one earlier from 53. This one's from 54. And it is wide to the left again. Evan McPherson 0 for 2. The Bengals could be up if he even made one of those. But he's unsuccessful. Denver back with it. We've moved down the field well. We just haven't been able to score. That was an awful throw by Bo Nix. Could have been intercepted by Jack Campbell. Threw the pass way too late and was asking for trouble. Bengals get it back. A game that we expected to be very high scoring has not been. Wide open as T. Higgins down the field. He's pushed out by Grant. But for two offenses playing as well as they've been as of recent, to both have single-digit points this far into the third quarter, certainly a surprise. The Bengals have not scored in over 20 minutes of game action. On first down, Burrow goes short, and boom! That ball flies out of the hands of Burton. Get out of the way, Michael! Baron Browning, off to the races! Flies into the end zone. It's a scoop and score. They ran that same play with Jermaine Burton throwing the ball earlier. This time, he can't. He doesn't have time because Benjamin Morrison delivers 5 big booms. No need to review that. Ball was clearly out and ends up as a defensive touchdown, and the Broncos lead 16-7. 3rd and 8. Burrow throws it into the ground incomplete. This defense is red hot. That was Browning with the hit. He had the touchdown on the last drive. And Denver gets it back, and in a lot of help from their defense today. 3rd and 2. Henderson tries to get by Campbell. He cannot. 4th and inches. We're going to have a decision to make going into the fourth quarter. I mean, I guess we played well in the third. The offense was pretty uninspiring, but we did get a defensive touchdown. A big hit by Benjamin Morrison, who's played a really good game today. Baron Browning picked it up, took it to the crib. The defense has been unbelievably good over the last 25 minutes. I mean, it's been a complete 180 from the Lions game now to this against arguably the best offense in the league as Nix gets the QB sneak. You knew what we were going to do there. You knew we were going to go for it. It's just a matter of what the play call would be. 3rd and 8 now for Denver after the first down conversion with Harrison Whaley in the backfield. Nix rolls out to the right. Has room to run. He will fight for the yardage and gets the first down. Always risky to have your quarterback put his body on the line, but that time it's successful. 3rd and 7 with Zamir White in the game now, starting to run the ball more, chewing some clock, play action. That one is off the mark. It was low for Harold Fannin, and that'll bring out the field goal unit. Will Lutz from 44. That one splits through Main Street, and that'll make it 19-7. So Denver's now up by 12. The Bengals have it back. They have not scored in nearly 30 minutes now, as it is a 2nd and inches with Oscar Delp in motion. Burrow goes short for Delp. He throws it back. It's now Dylan Sampson with it. Past the 50 to the 41. Why do the Bengals keep trying to do this play? I get it's now worked, but still, Ben Johnson, you've got to take a chill pill, man. From the 41. Burrow looking deep, and it's intercepted! Benjamin Morrison picks it off! Morrison with a block! Nobody's in front of him! Burton will not catch him! And Morrison takes it to the house for a pick 6! What a first start of the year for Benjamin Morrison. He's responsible for 2 defensive touchdowns. He forced the fumble and now gets the pick 6. He has been absolutely fantastic here as Denver with 5 minutes to go leads by 3 scores. Cincinnati hanging on by a prayer. Here's Oscar Delp with a big shot by Javon McIntyre. Not before getting the first down, though, to the 36. Bengals call for a switch. They've had a lot of pre-snap motion today, and, well, it hasn't really worked. Denver's been able to sniff everything out, as this one is caught by Jermaine Burton. He brings it into the red zone to the 19, and for the first time since that opening drive, the Bengals are moving it. And that opening drive wasn't even really a drive. It was only 2 plays. This has been their first long, sustained drive of the game, and it ends with a touchdown. T. Higgins, his second score of the game. And the Bengals make it a little bit closer. Got to start somewhere if you want this miraculous comeback. It's 26-14, and now it is time for the onside kick. McPherson with 3:33. It is recovered by Savion Williams. No hesitation. Denver gets it back, looking to shut this one down for good. 3rd down and 5. Nix looks to throw it. Under pressure, on the run, he's got Mims. It's been a busy one for Mims. He's caught a lot of passes short. 7 catches, 50 yards today for Mims, who will continue to chew some more clock. Lutz barely gets the field goal to slip through. And that'll make it 29-14. The Bengals are going to have a little bit of time, down by 15 points. Out of timeouts, 36 seconds inside the 40. They're moving it pretty well again. Another classic case of too little, too late, it looks like. But Jermaine Burton is wide open here, and he will make it out of bounds at the 7. At the very least, the Bengals look like they have the chance to make it a one-score game. They've scored at least 20 points in all 10 games. I guess that streak is on the line. 1st and goal. Burrow goes short. It is caught inbounds. They would have to get it back to the line quickly. I don't know if they're going to have enough time, and they don't. The Broncos win it here in the rain. 29-14 against Cincinnati. Our team needed a wake-up call after the bye week, and this is a pretty good start. Our defense had one of their best games of the year. The Bengals scored less than 20 for the first time all season. Now, admittedly, we did not have a great game offensively. I think we only had 1 offensive touchdown in this game. It was the defense who did our scoring in the second half, but they made the big plays to help lead the charge and help us win this game over a very good Bengals team. Wouldn't be surprised to see these two squads meet again, possibly in the postseason. Both quarterbacks played pretty well. I don't think Joe Burrow is to blame for the loss. He could have been better at times, but he wasn't, bad. I don't know why the Bengals had their receivers throwing the ball. When you have a guy like Joe Burrow, you probably don't want Oscar Delp and Jermaine Burton passing it. As for Bo Nix, nearly an identical completion percentage. He had over 100 less yards, but he still performed pretty well. He was efficient. He didn't make mistakes. Trevion Henderson played well, got a little bit banged up in the 4th quarter. He will be fine going forward. Obviously cannot say the same, though, for Ashton Jeanty. Dislocated ankle in the 2nd quarter after a really good start. Through the air, Marvin Mims, 7 catches, 53 yards. He was efficient. He was able to get open short. Dylan Sampson was their top receiver. T. Higgins scores twice. Fannin was good. Jamar Chase, meanwhile, only caught 2 passes. He hit the 69-yarder earlier, only had 1 more catch the rest of the way, and it was in garbage time on that last drive with a minute left. The offensive line was really good for us today. Andrew Thomas deserves a major shout-out. He's been fantastic over the last 4 weeks. Today, he was a rock star. The offensive line was awesome in this game. Bo Nix consistently had time to throw it, and the run blocking was obviously great. The pass rush was good. Benjamin Morrison was flying around the field. He had a sack. He had the fumble force, which I guess technically was the sack. He had the pick 6. Baron Browning, of course, also with a defensive touchdown. And then a busy game for Lutz. He did miss the extra point, but McPherson missed 2 kicks, which is a bigger deal than 1. The one problem is we got banged up in this game. Chris Brazel's going to be fine, but I cannot say the same for Ashton Jeanty or Damon Clowney. Clowney will be out the next 4 games with an abdominal tear, and Genty's obviously the big one, dislocated ankle. He will miss pretty much the remainder of the regular season. It's unfortunate because he was really starting to catch his stride. I think the addition of Trevion Henderson really helped him out. It made things easier for him, but he will be out possibly until the postseason if we get that far. I would like to think so at 7-3, but again, with our hard schedule, you never know. So certainly an unfortunate injury. I think the addition of Henderson should help us be prepared, though, for life after Ashton Jeanty as we look at our scores across the rest of the NFL. We obviously saw that the Raiders lost. Yay. We saw the Chiefs won. Not a yay.
As for your players of the week, Bryce Young, Patrick Mahomes, Edgerrin Cooper, and Benjamin Morrison in his first start of the year. Very well deserved. He was flying around the field making a bunch of plays. And now that brings us to our most important stretch of the year. Back-to-back games against the Raiders and the Chiefs. The three of those are all tied in the division, 7-3 apiece. We've got to perform well in these two matchups. I wanted to schedule a prospect profile in the next episode, but it almost makes the most sense to have these two games with the Raiders and the Chiefs together. So I'm not entirely sure what the plan will be, but we'll figure it out. Hope everyone enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Broncos country, let's ride.